There are a few reasons people move to Costa Rica and end up coming back. But the number one reason, the one that's almost always preventable, is money. Either they did not have the financial foundation to make it work in the first place, or they had the money, but they made the wrong calls after they got here. Those are two different problems, and that's what this walkthrough is about. I'm Brennan Vitali. I'm a certified financial planner professional and the founder of Vitality Wealth Planning, and I help you navigate the financial complexity of relocating to Costa Rica so you can stop researching and start living. And I did this myself. My wife, my 2 kids, 2 dogs, and we made the move. Everything I'm about to show you came from that experience and from working with people who came after us. And there are 17 decisions to move to Costa Rica. Most people don't know these decisions exist until they're already in the middle of them. And I'm going to walk you through all of them in order. Decision 1. Do you have the financial foundation? Where's your income coming from? A job, self-employment, investments, or a pension, maybe Social Security? And do you have savings to bridge the transition? Because depending on which visa you choose, you're going to need it. And if you have a business, now is the time to figure out whether that income can travel with you or whether you need to wind it down or sell it. And for couples, if it's no longer just you, how does the income hold up? If you're living on Social Security, you're going to lose one of those checks when one of you dies. And if it's a pension, you get 100% survivor on that. And if you're on your own, your numbers are your numbers. Decision 2. Are all decision makers aligned? Whoever needs to say yes to this move, are they actually saying yes, not just going along with it, actually in? Think of it like packing for a trip. If one person has their bags out the door and the other one is sitting on the couch, they'll both end up on the flight, but you'll feel that energy the entire time you're there. And if one spouse is all in and the other is just along for the ride, that's a slow leak. And it doesn't show up on day 1. It shows up at month 4 when something goes wrong, and one person wants to fix it and the other person wants to go home. If it's just you, great, but you might have relatives who will have opinions about this. If you're a grandparent, being away from your grandchildren is going to be hard. Likewise, if you have kids, being away from the grandparents might be hard. But you'll always have a place to come to, and you can always come home. Decision 3. Are you relocating or building a second life? Relocating means Costa Rica becomes home. You're selling the house, restructuring everything, truly immigrating. Building a second life means you're keeping your U.S. home base, adding Costa Rica on top, the snowbird path, and splitting time between the 2 countries. And most decisions apply to both, but there are a few forks that change depending on your answer. If you're building a second life, some of the middle decisions simplify, but the financial complexity doesn't disappear, especially if you're buying property. And decision 4. What's the exit plan? If this doesn't work out, what does coming back look like? If you sold the house, where do you live? If you restructured your investments, do you need to undo that? If you're older and health changes, what happens if you need healthcare that Costa Rica can't provide? Most people treat exit planning like keeping a spare tire in the trunk. They don't want to think about it. And thinking about it means admitting something could go wrong. But people who have one don't drive differently. They just stop carrying the low-level dread in the back of their mind. An exit plan takes the worst-case scenario off the table, and once it's off the table, people are actually more willing to go, not less. And before we figure out the logistics, we need to know where you're going and what that life looks like. So decision 5. Where is community? This comes before picking the perfect city. You can move to the most beautiful place in the world, but if you don't have your people, it's going to feel the same as wherever you left. And intentional communities exist in Costa Rica specifically to solve this. And that's what we did. We chose Eco Via San Mateo. So find out where your people are before you pick the town. Decision 6. What about schools? If you have kids, this may drive everything. If this doesn't apply to you, just skip ahead. We found school first, and then we looked at communities near it. Public schools are free, taught in Spanish. Private schools and international schools run about $5,000 to $15,000 a year, and homeschool is an option too. So figure out the school first, then the town follows. If this doesn't apply to you, like I said, the next question will. Decision 7. Where in Costa Rica? So now that you have community and schools have narrowed this down, now you pick the place. Central Valley gives you infrastructure, international schools, and a moderate climate. The beaches give you lifestyle, but less infrastructure and tourist pricing. And the mountains are cooler and quieter, but with far fewer services. So pretty much all of Costa Rica is beautiful, but come and rent first. I'd highly encourage you not to pick a place without doing both. So you made the big decisions. Now, here's what it actually takes to get there. Decision 8. What happens to your US house and all of your stuff? If you're relocating, you're selling the house, selling your things, selling your cars, that's a major project and it takes longer than most people think. And if you're renting, it's simpler. You break the lease, sell, and pack what you need. For us, the house sale took longer than we expected. We sold the cars, sold all our stuffs, and we definitely should have kept some of it. And we packed what we wanted to into 12 suitcases and then shipped the rest to storage. And if you're building a second life, your house stays. So you skip to the property question. And if you're renting your house out, make sure you have the right insurance. Decision 9. What visa path are you on? Pensionado requires proof of $1,000 a month in pension or Social Security income. Rentista requires $2,500 a month in passive income. Inversionista requires a $150,000 investment, which usually means buying a property. So think of these things like different lines at a border crossing. Each line moves differently, has different requirements, and asks you to show different things, but they all lead to the same place. And which one is right for you depends entirely on what you're walking in with. And your visa determines your timeline, your healthcare access, whether buying your property becomes required, and you need to make this decision relatively quickly once you're certain about the move because it's much easier to get what's needed for the next decision. So decision 10, what documents do you need and when do you need to start? Right now. Start now. Get your long form birth certificates. Marriage certificates, if you're married, they need to be dated within 6 months. FBI background checks again within 6 months, and your income verification depending on your visa. Get this running while you're still in the States because it takes longer than most people expect. All these documents need to be apostilled, and that process alone can take weeks. Get this started if you're committed to make this happen. Decision 11. Are you buying property in Costa Rica? If you're going Inversionista, usually this is the easiest route. If you're building a second life, you probably want to. The process is different here. You need to decide personal ownership, a corporation, or through a trust. Each one affects your taxes and reporting differently. A corporation or a trust can come with fines if they aren't disclosed, and they have some problems with it if you leave them inactive for too long. And there are more decisions inside this one than most people expect, so this is just high level. So now your money. Get these right, and the move is clean. Get them wrong, and it's 5 to 6 figures in avoidable losses. So decision 12. What happens to your accounts? Are you going to keep your US-based address? Are you going to use someone else's? Or are you going to make your address foreign? And will your bank accounts allow that? Will your investment accounts allow that? Or will your retirement accounts allow that? This one trips people up in a very specific way. Think of it like updating your address after a move. It sounds simple, but you change your address to a foreign one, and some banks and investment companies, actually most of them, will simply freeze and close your account. Not because you did anything wrong, but because their compliance rules say they can't service international accounts. Your money hasn't moved, your accounts hasn't changed, but you can't get to it. So without finding the right place to hold your money. You need to figure this out before you move, not after you're locked out of your money. In decision 13, when does the money move? If you're selling your house, will you owe capital gains? If you need money from your investment accounts to fund this move, how much gains will you take when you do that? And if you're running a business, can you transfer it with you? Or do you have to unwind it, sell it, or shut it down? All of this is timing. So think of it like splitting a bill at a restaurant across 2 different credit cards. The total is the same, but how much hits each card changes what you're responsible for in that moment. So if you're selling a house and pulling it from investments in the same calendar year, that can all land in one pile at tax time. Spreading things across 2 years can be tens of thousands of dollars in difference on a large gain. And especially is important if you're selling a business. In decision 14, what's your tax situation going to look like? You still file U.S. taxes forever. You are a United States citizen. And since the U.S. is one of the few countries to tax worldwide income, you'll have to do it. And Costa Rica only taxes what you earn inside of Costa Rica. So if you have foreign accounts over certain dollar amounts, there are also forms that you need to fill out. And the penalty for missing them is $10,000 per account per year for non-willful violations. Willful violations mean you knew about it. It's $100,000 or more, plus interest. You need to know about this before you open up any foreign bank accounts, not after. Decision 15, what's your healthcare plan? Your U.S. coverage changes the day you leave. Costa Rica's public healthcare system requires residency and takes time. It usually takes 10 to 24 months to get residency, so you cannot be on CAJA yet. So think of it like starting a new job, but your health insurance doesn't kick in until about month 10. You already know about the gap before you start, and you don't show up on day one and hope for the best. You get something to bridge it. So what are you going to do? Self-insurance is an option if you have money set aside, or you can get private insurance here. It's fast, it's pretty good quality, and it's definitely cheaper than the United States. And if you're on prescriptions, you need to look at whether they're available here and what they cost. And if you're over 65, Medicare has a specific answer. It doesn't work here in Costa Rica. And a lot of retirees go home for certain things that Medicare covers, so that's a real option. Decision 16. How are you going to get around? Are you going to be buying a car? Are you importing one from the US, which can double the price because of import taxes? And buying used locally is the move, but the car market is different than what you're used to. Cars are expensive here, and renting long-term is even more expensive. So you may want auto insurance because auto insurance is required in Costa Rica, but it's just liability insurance. You may want more than that. And so you can get that through INS or a local broker. So have a plan for this before you land. And likely getting a rental for a month and then doing your car buying is probably the best option. And that's a blast, I can tell you that. And decision 17. Is your family protected if something happens? Your U.S. estate plan, so your will or your trust, have no authority in Costa Rica. If you own property in both countries, or if you have a corporation here, your family needs an estate plan that covers both countries. And also check your life insurance if you have it, and make sure that policy allows foreign residents. Some have clauses that void coverage entirely when you change your country of residence. So, this walkthrough were the exact decisions we had to make. And we did all of this in 90 days. This is the exact map that we used. And the reason why I built Vitality Wealth Planning is because this map does not exist anywhere else. Your financial advisor in the US doesn't have it, Reddit doesn't have it, and the Expat blogs don't either. Because it takes someone who actually knows both sides of the border, the financial planning side, and what it means to live here day to day. So you now have that map. 17 decisions in order. You know what each one is. You know what goes wrong when it gets missed, and you know none of them have to go wrong. So the question is now is where you stand on each of them. And if you want to find out which ones you've handled and which ones need attention, book a call at the bottom down here. It's a free 30-minute conversation to see if I can help you or I'll point you in the right direction. Because this is entirely possible. You just need the architecture behind the adventure.